And let's dig into the Enigma principles with this example of GU and how we can identify what Enigma is truly want to do with all the intentions we learned above or before. Right, so the first thing we want to ask ourselves is, of course, what's going on right now in price action and retailers and overall traders and strategies. What is Enigma doing in here? First of all, we had this previous day's highs, right? Equal highs above. So that's definitely the who is in this case. First of all, we had all these buyers, right? And funnily enough, right, what do we have in here? This juicy buildup in here, right? And then getting induced to the low side, boom, in higher directions, right? Perfect in here to push price even higher one more time, and then builds the equal highs in here. Then guess what? The who also smart money traders come in with the change of character. Even they got smoked here. One, or technically this is just a normal low. Sorry for that one. Right, so this one is in here, the first koch they have, and then probably even here they got stopped out already. But then obviously they drive price action lower to make them all fussed and excited, right? And obviously they buying the ass that they missed the move, and obviously all these buyers are in already, right? So they are getting slowly chickened out with all these price action pullbacks in here as well, right? So again, the only time buyers can be in here is all the way from down there, and the last ones are slowly but surely all getting stopped out. And even now we have this mitigation in here, right, with this last new lower low in here, and then this technically had the intention to mitigate price of Asia midline, right? Perfect. So we know the who, what's going on in there, then the what, of course, the smart money concept traders. Now we have the resistance trader, we have the supply areas in here which got tested, right? So of course, huge one for supply areas, break of structures into the mitigation, double tops, change of characters, fast movement, speed, right? When does it all happen? All in New York session, right? From New York opening technically until all the way down to New York close, right? And the where happened all, first of all, in the supply areas above Asia high range, right? In this yesterday's high area, right? To give this illusion that the market is going to hold. And then finally in Asia midline areas to start, to end the day off properly. The wide reasons, emotions, of course, they want to bring price action illusion that they're going to change the direction now. And they show obviously false intents just to go drive price higher at the long run, right? You already can see what they're doing in terms of intentions, what the world is seeing. And now we also see this buildups in here, right? And now the same thing. Who's going to get affected? Now they're building up buyers again, right? Buyers getting affected in Asia session, right? So all Asia traders in intraday basis, they're all getting induced high, right? And what, again, they have a build up in terms of channel trend buildups, right? Also now we're faking though for sellers this smart money trap zone again, right? So again, we also have to know, okay, sellers may be coming in here, right? There's also equal highs, right? I can get induced for breakout traders, for example, right? The last thing which is missing, of course, is the why and the how. So there's still a speed missing, some more reasons is needed, so we can dig into it, right? So okay, pushes price higher in the build-up and boom, there we go. Now we have the how and the why with the momentum and speed. Vector candles finally breaking out. First of all, takes out all the sellers in here, right? Don't really have any places left to sell in these areas, right? And of course, we still are in Asia, right? So we know, okay, these areas is juicy target for maybe then later Frankfurt, London places, right? But for now, we have the cycle completion. We have the who's getting induced? The breakout traders in terms of here, smart money traders, they're getting the reversal. Stop loss in here, right? When they look for sells, they're getting smoked out of it. Breakout traders jumping in, they have the channel, they have now the direction. Okay, if this zone's going to break, obviously price has to go higher. Not going to happen, right? So retailers and smart money traders are out, and if anyone is in there, they're having a long bias. This is why market can obviously return. We know this as a build-up inducement stage, right? And obviously the inducement also to the left brings in a medium one. It happens all in Asia, right? We just know that this cycle is done, so we can look for the opposite direction for market to change, right? But then the same thing starts again. Look what they do in here. Right, it's all momentum. Look, no pullbacks, no nothing, just building liquidity like crazy, right? And just no really sharp pullbacks, baby pull-ups. Shows what? Shows momentum, shows the channel, shows the speed, shows obviously now also the fake break of structure once again, right? Again, that's way too late for us. Our break of structure would be all the way up here into mitigation and for the inducement to go lower. Right, and now it's retailer break of structures. It's way too late. That's why we obviously have a good understanding that this might be done already. We only have to think one intention left, which is some mitigation areas down there with imbalance fills, right? And only if you have those, then we would know, okay, price action could be done and reversing again, right? So let's see. First of all, the who, again, in this case, it's sellers, buyers getting taken out of their positions, right? If they bought in here, the stop losses are below here or even here, right? They're all getting taken out left and right, right? So the same thing though, if market shows this now, people have a bias of obviously directional going to the short side, right? Guess what? Not gonna happen, right? So of course, we induced now finally into an point of interest in here, which is also the inducement here, right? Just different point of interest, so not the overall one, right? Okay, but just this one gave the reaction and then have some imbalances left. The better one is definitely this one down there, right? Okay, but for now, obviously that's what happens in here, right? So we have to wait what happens next to ask the same questions. So now you just see sellers getting in there, right? And obviously they want to take them out sooner or later. And look what they do now. Again, it's the same thing again. Now they're building up these crazy channels to the high side. Again, see, they stop them out high, induce them high, stop them out low, induce them low, and now same thing all over again. You see how they do it like clockwork, right? So now the next thing we can add in as we soon going into our major windows in terms of Frankfurt Open, London Open, New York timings, and all that stuff, right? But now we just see, okay, buyers getting affected deeply, right? But what else? Maybe sellers, maybe they seeing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 million tops in here. Also Asia high, so maybe that's gonna hold for the sellers, right? So if they want to sell, or if they want to bring in sellers, they obviously want to hold the equal highs, right? So guess what? Look at that, perfect equal highs. So who's gonna affect it? Sellers getting affected. They're preparing the breakout traders to getting their zone, right? So if they smoke it out in here, obviously breakout traders jumping on the bandwagon, right? And we have also this medium liquidity up here. But for now, we just see the buildup getting slowly but surely induced to the low side. Isn't that interesting, right? And when should they do it? In perfect Frankfurt Open timing. For us, there's unfortunately no point of interest other than all the way down there. Right, so we could wait on here. Frankfurt Open now is to the minute in 1 minute now, and boom, they're gone, right? So we got missed with our point of interest in here, right? But at least the intentions are all done, and look what they did. Look at how juicy that one is, right? Almost took them out in here. I can't see the wick properly. Let's just check quick where the wick is. Okay, they already took them out of the highs in here. Perfect, right? So we have a medium inducement. What happens though if they smack out these highs? Obviously, people jumping in like crazy, right? So again, for now, this could be our potential point of interest just for these plays though, right? So if London taps into here, that's a valid play, and then obviously rect, and then maybe goes higher overall. That's definitely possible, right? But for now, we just have to wait what they show. Now we just see vector candles and speed. Again, the why, the how, huge momentum. The why to show people the wrong direction, right? With emotions, again, FOMO kicks in. Again, breakout traders taking this crazy zone of liquidity also overall makes new higher highs for retailers, right? So what do we do though? Breakout traders, so we just wait and see what they do. Even induce the high one more time to give you an illusion one more time to go higher and higher. And now, of course, we also can jump in and understand what should be next, right? Relevant break of structure after an inducement, and then wait for perfect London time window. That's the ideal scenario, right? So let's see what they're doing in here. Relevant break of structure, right? Again, everyone is having the long direction. Look at the build up. They do pullback. Again, first, it's not the pullback, it's the inducement low of the channel. Vector candle speed, taking out those zones in here, breaking out of Asia, high, right? Of course, and still overall in this buy trend. So obviously, they jumping in as buys, and they thinking that's all pullback trades, and they want to jump in long for continuation. So guess what's not going to happen? Longs for continuation. We completed a cycle, Frankfurt Open cycle. Next timing window is London Open. We are right here, right? So of course, if we had this relevant break of structure for us, we look for the mitigation in here, right? So that's our place we want to play, right? From this demand zone or supply zone in this case, right? So of course, after the Olympic of structure, after London, or in this case, Frankfurt plays, after medium inducement, we want to jump in. And obviously, retailers should get taken out. Same side, who is getting affected right now? Only buyers, right? So where are the buyer stop losses? Maybe below here, and of course, below Asia low. Right, for all these buyers, starting even for the whole push, the all stop losses are below here in the worst case scenario. What would that be? Obviously, our perfect cycle confirmation, right? Which we can look, and we still have this potential mitigation zone down there as well for potential New York trap time plays, right? So that's still far out though, but obviously we can plan the day out. First, we have this London Open place though. Let's see what they did, and even tagged it with the wick absolute perfectly in here. So now we are in, right? And retailers are getting ready to get smoked. Boom, right? So now this is the world's relevant or the world's break of structure, right? So usually it never comes back in these scenarios, right? If they don't want to give people the chances to get in. London comes in. Again, the where and when. Now we're in Asia range. London induced, or Frankfurt made the play for the big players, which are London liquidity, right? And of course, London says, thank you for inducing everyone to the long side. And now let me help you and take out all these buyers, grab liquidity, and then maybe continue higher to maybe take out yesterday's highs. As this obviously got missed, right? And now, of course, this becomes later the smart money trap, as this would only be valid when London would have tapped in the highs in here, gives us the extreme mitigation. But as this is yesterday's high, of course, we don't look for the mitigation later on, only if the place would be in here after the smart money traps in here into mitigation with momentum and speed, but that never happened. So we have to switch our direction for smart money trap when they, of course, induce low and go higher overall, right? So what we tagged in here, right? So next thing, how do they do it now? What's going on? They're stopping slowly but surely people out the buy trades, right? Breaking the structures in here, right? With momentum and speed, right? What a surprise. So maybe even people jumping in here, right? Already getting completely smoked, right? And boom, out of a sudden, Asia low gets induced. Flip side though, what happens now? Of course, people be like, oh wow, Asia low gets induced low, breakout traders jump in, they're having another directional shift. Right now they think, okay, it made a new lower low now, so it should go lower overall. So inducing people to the short side. We are in perfect time window for London still, right? So, okay, this maybe not going to happen anymore in New York Trap. So we can have to change our bias for New York Trap for later, right? Because this is just very fast of the way they did it. So what characteristic has this also when they take out Asia high and then just whip Asia range in one clean sip? Right, of course, Asia whipsaw scenario. So if the maximum's going down there, that's the possibility. So we can monitor magic manipulation minutes for these scenarios. Or if we obviously get breakup structures earlier, relevant breakup structures, we want to be interested in earlier. So now they're just reacting from this zone still, right, going lower. And now though, what is this? It's already a relevant breakup structure. So they're probably missing those mitigation areas down here. Kind of makes sense though anyways, because this is not the nicest point of interest in terms of inducement anyways. Very late of the day, probably not much business down there in terms of liquidity grabs. So could be also done with the Asia whipsaw. And now we have to just go with the Asia whipsaw plays. We just don't have an approach number one down there. It is fine, but now we have the same thing. Momentum speed, Asia whipsaw plays being checked after this break of structure or relevant break of structure. We can take a look at the M1 to see what's going on down there. Mark our last imbalance zone right in here, right? And obviously maybe even inducing structure down there into the extreme point of interest. And if they do that, that's how Mona Lisa plays. They just tagged it to the absolute pet, right? Just marked it up perfect, tagged it absolutely with the imbalance, right, to the tick in here. So that's our potential extreme limit orders. Again, add in the spread if you want to place a limit, and then stop goes below. That's your Asia whipsaw scenarios, right? So let's go ahead. What's going on and what they're doing to the rest of the world, right? Obviously, the rest of the world has this bias of shorts. So what's the next trap windows? Of course, these areas once again for smart money traders, they want to fake price action reactions down there as well. First, what do they do in here? Obviously very nice, again building up this channel in here, right? I mean, you could argue that they might induce it high as well to go lower. The nicer play for us in intention wise is of course the build up getting induced to a low side, inducing even structure in here. Look at that, beautiful. And also from the open price, which makes much more what was that? Which makes much more sense if it's like the build up in here, induced low, induced structure to the low side to just go higher overall of the day open price away from the Asia whipsaw to complete the plays. And guess what they did here? Filling the imbalances, right, in magic manipulation minutes to drive price lower and inducing people out of their buys with this momentum candle in here, right? So let's see the overall picture. Look at this momentum again after they grab liquidity. Again, these structure breaks are immense because again, it takes all the people out who bought in here. Their stop losses are below here, right? Or they pull a break even and they just get taken out. Even the structure broke in here again gives people the false illusion that this is going to be a mitigation zone for going lower. Obviously turns into a for fuck's sake in here. Now we're in these areas again for the smart money trap, right? Should be pretty obvious as well, coming from all these equal highs in here. Yes, it got taken out, but then guess what? Look to the left also. Yesterday's high just screams to get induced very soon as well. So they of course want to fake the smart money trap in here once again to get people in. What happens to the people? They're seeing the reaction. They think this is gonna hold. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 touches into this zone, right, of this supply demand area. And of course they fake the reaction to obviously push price lower to make people jump in the cells in here, right? But guess what? You already see we can identify a new build up in these areas like this, maybe, whoops, right, to just draw it properly, right? We can make it like this also, maybe like a little bit sharper, right, depending on how you want to see it, but that's also possibility if you mark it up like this, right, for the overall longer channel, right? And obviously just want to wait and look even how they react, of course, right? And then finally taking out these points in here once again. Stay short of here though, right? So again, if it's a true trap, what can they do? Once again, fake the reaction maybe. Again, what they're doing now is just getting buyers in like crazy, right? Buyers. This zone is broken again. They want to bring in sellers at some point again, just taking buyers if they want to go long overall. Going back to this build up again and look at all these reactions. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Again, this brings sellers in because they think there's a resistance, right? And of course, they're faking the reaction, right? So guess what? If they go higher once again, everyone is having the long direction in here. Long. They're all seeing the longs, right? So let's see. Even look how they're staying in the build up, right? And then finally, we already saw what's going to happen here, right? Again, this technically, I would not consider this a major inducement, but guess what they did in here? A major inducement in terms of the build-up though, faking the structure break, right? And then whipping them out, tapping in the smart money trap. This build-up kind of is still active if you check though, right? So there's no clear build-up inducement, right? If you're still having this plane here, but we already can see maybe this already induced it low with this crazy wicks, right? So we have to keep that in mind, right? So again, tapped in the smart money trap with this huge build-up. Still in the build-up phase, buyers, and they obviously already getting wiped here, wiped with this wick, right? Looks like news also, I think, and this day, yep, there is news. The inflation rate, right? So of course, not too insignificant chart event in here, right? So also, what do they do in here when they induce the build-up? They of course want to mitigate at some points, right? And if you want to break it down to the M1, the M1 zones would be in here, right? So just stay short of it a little bit. It is fine. It's probably news anyways around the corner, so it's not really a crazy buy, crazy limit order buy you should take too much in the news. Intention wise, perfectly fine in terms of the build up into the smart money trap area of yesterday's high, faking the reaction, inducing a channel to the low side, right? And then just out of there with the news like crazy, and obviously goes higher after inducing the channel buildup, inducing Asia high yesterday's high, and then look at this momentum going on, right? And if you check obviously the higher time frames, right, we also took this crazy high in here of Asia, equal highs, right? Just gets whipped. Right, so again, same flip side. Think about what happens to the retailers. They see this huge momentum, right? They see all this craziness going on, right? So guess what? They want to induce them again, making new highs. They want to jump, let all the people in, also the news release fundamental reasons like, oh my God, interest rates, this and that. Of course, now the market has to rise forever. What's the time that will do the kill? New York trap time, of course. So if they do one more push higher, look at them, right? Boom, everyone is long. Look at this huge reaction, interest rates, all this and that, right? So of course, what can we look for after a significant blow like this, right? With all taking out the liquidities to left, building the whole day for buys. Everyone is buying. Look at the FOMO, the how, the why, right? Even the how with news, for example. That's another thing we even can add into the Enigma principles for sure, that they're using news in their favor. That's even a big one. I think I forgot that to put in the slides, but they 100,000,000% use the news in their favor. Of course, be aware of that. So write that if you took notes about the Enigma principles. Yes, 100,000,000% they use the news in their favor to have the excuses of, oh my God, yeah, of course the price has to go like 500 pips in one candle because it's news, of course, because they can't do that normally. If they would, they would obviously get fined and whatnot, right? So of course they have to use the news to push prices higher, so they have their excuse. Everyone is jumping in buys though, so when we get our relevant break of structure after the inducement, the medium one with huge vector candles, and we have it finally, right? So what's our next scenarios we can do? And when the rest of the world is buying, obviously we want to sell relevant break of structure into the mitigation, right? Absolute perfection, take the short away from the retailers, right? And obviously let them wonder what just happened. Look at this new build up going on in here, right? Make it even nicer. It should make it sharper down so it makes sense. We have to take this one, right? There we go. Looks much nicer this way, right? To see what's going on. London close, what should it do? Mitigate obviously the imbalances in these areas, right? And boom, taps them. I think it actually missed it though. Yes, it missed it by a little bit, right? So that would be our perfect London close. Mitigation trades missed a little bit. Build up getting loose to the high side though. To go what? To go, of course, short overall. And if you check the next day, of course, right? Why is that so slow? Let's actually go to the M15 to speed things up a little bit. It's the same thing as always. Let's skip through it. Right, what happens? Who's the what? Who's the people's getting involved right now? Look at this. We already marked this zone up. Right, what is this? Breakout traders. Of course, first of all, they're getting taken out of break even, right? If that's not even more enough, and other people having a break and retest, so they want to get in the buys. So guess what? If this is a really true retailer's trap, we expect a reaction out of it, right? So guess what? There it is, the reaction, right? And look at those fuckers building equal highs in Asia high, building equal lows in Asia low. That's perfect engineered traps. You can't tell anyone otherwise, right? Look at that. Don't even take it out, just building perfect equal lows, right? And then London comes in, of course, right? Pushes price higher. Obviously, all the little sheeple people with the retail concepts have the break and retest, right? They think, okay, news was for whatever, interest rates, this and that has to go higher. Oh my God, GU, blah, blah, blah. A US dollar, all that stuff, right? So of course they want to give the illusion the price goes higher, right? And again, if they give that F blow once again to breaking these highs, everyone and their sister is buying that thing, having the buy direction. What do they do before? Of course, as always, after like a move like this, right? So let's go back in the M5 here, right? So first we see a new build-up forming, right? So let's see in what direction the build-up gets induced. First of all, or second of all, we also had this crazy equal highs. Where does it happen? Also ask these questions. Where does it happen? In the smart money trap. Isn't that exactly the same freaking shit they did in here also? Isn't it this? Oh, sorry, in here, right? It's the same exact fucking shit. Look at that. Yesterday's high. Fake zone. Build up taps into the smart money trap. Build up taps in the smart money trap. Isn't that weird? It seems like they only have so much in their books they can do. Their toolbox is only so limited. Interesting, isn't it? Right? So, boom. Build up getting induced to the high side, right? To push price even lower. What's the next mitigation areas though? Right? Asia midline scenarios. And of course, we also had this insane equal lows left. But again, if they really want to blow everyone out of the water, they induce these highs first. Keep the illusion of this quadrillion bottom of like the supply, support and resistance breaking, right? And then take all of them out, right? That's the ideal scenario. And of course, you're coming from this build-up, getting induced to the low, to the high side to push price lower. They open price, Asia midline, mitigation, imbalance, liquidity here, perfectly off the day open price into Asia midline. Could be a potential play, right? If you don't like it, that's completely fine. We wait for what, right? Something like this. Look at that, how beautiful it is. Mini build up inside here, right? And guess what? Inducement. Oh my God, right? So you know what should come next. Relevant breaker structure. Here's your mitigation zone. If you want to break it to the M1, you can, right? And this one is definitely a tricky one. You have to be a little bit more careful because of like this, yeah, just this point of interest in here. Most likely not this one. So yeah, it's not the nicest for sure. I personally don't like point of interest like this, as they can have a lot, way too much space to fake around. So sometimes they can just take out this little wick and stay inside in here. But that's not ideal if it's worth the risk for sure. Let's just see what they did. Right, okay, tapped in the M5 overall. Okay, too early positions, and then okay, that's what I mean though. They come very, very, very close. They're technically still in the mitigation zone. Oh, sorry, they even tapped in here. Also, my old eyes don't even see anything anymore, right? So then they just come even lower, messing around. New York trap time window kind of makes sense. Not ideal. We had this nice little build up in here though, right? Vector candles to the downside, inducing the low once again. Again, there's not really any other point of interest. So if you take it like this, you can for sure then just put the stop loss below here. You should definitely be fine as you play the overall picture, or you can just wait if you don't like that for retest like this, right? And then place it like this. But that's like the more advanced way, but you're technically just playing the overall plays, or you even wait for more confirmations, right? Like this maybe, right? Build up. Let's see if they get induced. Okay, here it is, getting induced to the highs at the low side, and if they give the blow, boom, there we go. All right, so in terms of the build up, we had this 1, 2, 3 lows, right? And then goes one more time into it, right? Definitely not the nicest thing in here, right? But yeah, technically nicer if there would be another point of interest, or at least like if they built equal lows down here, not like 1, 2, 3 in here, right? With like the build up like in this, right? Induced low into higher points, and then induced even the whole 1, 2, 3 points lower once again, still all inside this point of interest, right? So definitely not the nicest. Again, if you take it, as we said in here, you can just take stop loss below that they mitigate this point in here. It's very unlikely, but maybe we're wrong. But you want to be inside, as we had this juicy plays of the Asia midline, of the day open price, of the mini build up, of the relevant breaker structure, timing in New York open. The trap happens, New York trap takes it out, messes around a little bit on the M1. It's completely fine. It's not always perfect. That's just what you have to do sometimes. Then again, that's why it's much nicer sometimes to just play these plays in the M5 only. Again, and you kept out of all this noise of the M1. You just take it here, never bigger stop loss, it's fine. And then, of course, limit yourself or save yourself a lot of nerves in here as well. Perfect timing now, New York trap. And of course, we expect the reaction out of there, right? So then, of course, they take out the smart money trap. Lovely. So our target should be above here to end the day off with a banger like this, right? So we're not really too fussed about what's happened after. We should wait for the next day to see what's going to happen. The only thing we see already, this build-up got induced to the high side, took out those highs. Again, it's just way too late for us, right, to take a trade, but isn't that freaking nice? Build-up inducement of that highs one more time. But again, nobody probably is in these markets in here right now. So, okay, they induced the high even one more time. Okay, but now you can, if you think this low is gonna hold, yeah, then not too good. So this is the absolute Mona Lisa scenario for tomorrow plays. Of course, now we took out these highs. The whole world has the spirals long. There's no sellers in the whole market inside. How can you sell? There's no one selling. Everyone who sold here, even here, or even here and here, they all got taken out. At least they break even. There's no one ever in this sells. Now it's very late. So the only thing they can do is playing the plays in Asia, right? So all the sellers are out. There's no sellers. Now they're of course just building liquidity a little bit to the low side, right? So if they build liquidity low side and they truly want to go lower, what can we expect on them to do? Induce high to go lower, right? So let's see Asia mid, Asia range. Let's see what they have. A new build up in here, right? And of course, if we induce the build up, which we already did, Frankfurt Open, what's my favorite trade there is? Fast and Frank-Turius trade, right? Again, not the nicest Asia midline point of interest, for sure not, right? But definitely something you can play off to. Obviously, they play. Look at the reactions they do, faking the triple top. Again, sellers getting very happy about that reaction, right? Triple tops in here, right? And of course, we want to induce them high into the point of interest, into Asia midline, induce the channel, right? To finally give the death blow to all those people. And even potentially, again, we had all these buyers in here, right? So again, we technically can smoke them all out. And that's even what we had today with this price action. So yeah, we took this sells in here, and then even a very, very nice New York trap window gaps in here. First of all, we smoked those liquidity areas. All the buyers of here are out. Like, too bad that the support and the resistance and makes a new high didn't work out too well of the quadruple top bottom down there, right? So first death blow in London, and then look at those nice moves they did right after, right? It was a little bit hard to trade. Just pure inducement trades though, right? When making lows. And again, if they want to push price action even lower, what do they do? Induce high to go lower. And now New York trap time right around the corner, right? And look at how beautiful it was. New York trap time to the minute, and traps are being built, inducing high, obviously to go lower and take out all these people. And that's what we had today. Absolute perfection, right? So all the buyers are fully out. Retail haven't was expected after no possible sellers was in place or were in place anymore. Obviously, build up gets induced into Asia midline, fast moving to a straight into it. New York builds the trap once again to induce high to go lower, and then taking out all the people down there. And then even London close is the low. And again, you should not be too interested in these areas after all anymore, as it's getting just way too late, right? So the day was done, plays were done. This one was a tricky one for sure, but again, the moment you're getting more advanced, of course, at some point you just have to jump into those when situations like this happen, right? Where you have like this minor relevant break of structure into areas. That was our short right here, right? Of course, you can also place a stop loss above here. Again, risky one for sure, but intention wise, absolute perfect, right? Of the equal highs being in here. Again, this thing, same thing. Smart money trap gives the false reaction, builds liquidity, taps one more time into this zone, builds again the smart money trap, takes it out, builds the equals before, takes out the structure left, induce high overall to go lower, take out everyone and their sister who had the news event and this huge vector candles with the news, of course, taking out all the structures to the left. Momentum and speed gives the break and retest, go higher, take out every seller possible. Then the sellers getting built, getting induced, and then getting taken out, all of them. That is buyers, obviously, they're taken out of them, right? Sellers are jumping in here and here, right? That's a smart money trap, of course, gets induced high. Even the structure gets induced high by a pip and then goes lower without anyone. And that's how they do it. That's how you should see the Enigma principles as well in combination with it. Just a very rapid one. Use it in your advantage. Again, the why, the how, the who, the where, and the when. And I forgot if I said what, right? So the 6 principles, of course, again, the who, the what, the where, when, why, and how. Always keep that in mind. And again, see their true intentions, what the world should see in their books, and then what they actually do. First of all, they obviously want to believe or make them believe a specific direction. They want to give them the reasons, like the fake news, whatever, news releases and shit like that. Of course, how does it even make sense? How can there be a news release which pushes price higher and then literally 2 days later the whole thing drops again? It just doesn't make sense. You have to understand the market is engineered for exactly that reason, to even give fundamental people or fundamental trailers no point at all. And then again, even those sells absolutely gorgeous, because why? No one has an opportunity to sell here other than us, if you really understand what's going on. Again, there's just takes out everyone who sold, gets all taken out, liquidity been taken, and then just choop it downside, takes out all the people down in here. Lovely, lovely shit.